On the 32 Firewall, we'll look at a little progress that we've made over the last couple days. So I've trimmed off some of the, I'm trying to get this shot is horrible, I'm sorry guys. I trimmed off some of the pieces of the bottom of the firewall there that we had clearanced, and we'll find out how much more we need to do when we put it back on after we've tacked it together a little bit. The amps and pedals are mounted, but I'll show you on the inside what piece I'm working on to kind of finish up that installation. Here is the progress that I've made. So I've gotten the 2 feet replacement feet from United Pacific in. So those will replace the 2 pretty wretched ones I have. And I could have made those functional. I mean, I'll save them because I save everything. But even if I would have made gotten the pads done, the rest of it would have required a ton of work to make. I don't know. It's pretty visible, and it was, to me, it was worth buying these to replace them. So I've got those. I'm still into this firewall pretty cheap. I think, gosh, I can't even remember now how much those cost. Okay, I just checked, they were $145 for both of them through Speedway. So they're United Pacific, but I got them through Speedway. And the firewall itself was $200, and you can kind of see why it was pretty rough. But I've had it for a couple years, and so I'm into the firewall for $350, which isn't really horrible. So here's what I have done. The brake in the firewall right here that kicks out, I had to take some of that away. So you can see on that side I've relieved it. I'm going to move that back about 2 inches. It won't be completely flat, but it'll be pretty close. And the reason I didn't just go completely flat is because in these vehicles, every little bit helps from a footroom perspective, down where the pedals are and down where you're moving your feet around just to be able to fit in the car. They're pretty tight. So aesthetically it'd be great if it were just flat, but if I can gain ½ an inch there and move that toe board out a little bit, it's probably going to pay dividends. So that's the thought process there. Up here, I created a piece that is going to reinforce, so it's 1/8 inch. It's going to go in here as a spacer / reinforcement to the firewall. And what's going to happen is I'm going to clearance it for these reveals in a couple spaces that have different elevations, and I'm going to cut here to give just a little more room for the firewall to come around it, and then this is going to get welded in around the perimeter and holes will get in. And what that'll do is that will allow the master cylinder to be proud of this reveal enough that it doesn't drag the cover doesn't drag on it when you take it off. So this goes in there, sort of like that, and step away just so you can kind of see, and then that whole assembly's in there, kind of like that. The shape of that 1/8 inch plate will get trimmed up so that it mimics the master cylinder a little more, and I've seen it done. I've seen other guys do it. Once it's welded into the firewall, it really goes away, and that's kind of what we're going for. So that is the next step, And after that piece is trimmed out, I can start to figure out how much to push back that firewall and what that piece looks like, that filler piece. I also have some work to do on the very bottom here, because what's going to happen is I will pull this, I will basically put a piece in here to pull this down to this toe board height so that it's easy to do the upholstery on it. So that's what I'm working on right now. So let me back up a little bit. It's frustrating when you can't really see the whole thing. So that's the progress to date, and I'm going to get grinded on that intermediate plate, that 1/8" spacer plate. So I'll bring you back. Here it is with that plate trimmed out. I have knocked the corners off of it, made it so that it's more in contour and closer to what the master cylinder is going to look like. Just drop that in there. So, as you can see, that intermediate plate, once it's welded all into the firewall and whatnot, it's really going to go away. So that's what I wanted. That's going to allow plenty of room at the top for the lid to come off after everything is done, and it should work really slick. Alright, it's kind of upside down, but it should work really slick. Alright, let's keep at it. Time to look at the progress. Here's what it looks like. I relieve that firewall at the bottom there underneath the plate. That'll get welded up. Everything is bolted in place. And now we'll do some welding of the gaps and making that plate one with the firewall. On the inside, you don't see any of it because the Anson pedal is a solid component that covers that whole area up. So that's what it's going to look like from the inside. Sanitary. So what'll happen, I'll weld up, I'm going to tack up these pieces just so everything stays where I want it to, and then I'll cut that bottom piece along the very bottom where I'm going to section in another piece of metal to bring it down to where the new toe boards are going to go, and then I'm going to try it on the car and see if kind of what I'm envisioning is actually going to work when it's applied. Alright, that's probably the progress for today. We'll see if I get any more done. Here is the progress after I did a little work on the feet. I put the feet on the firewall, bolted them on for fitment, and cut the old ones off, got the new ones on. I tacked the firewall where that plate was. I grabbed one of the valve covers that I'm planning on running on the motor to check clearance. It's tight. Everything about this, putting a Y block in a 32 is tight. So the firewall fits well. The body's down on it. There's not a lot of room underneath the fitting here for the clutch. So I'm going to move the clutch fitting to the side of that port so that I don't run into any issues with it banging on the valve cover. And the setback of the firewall looks good. Here's what it looks like from this side. So it has the foot on it. What I'll do next is I'll come in and I'll fill in, I'll fill in this area, tack in this piece while it's on the car and make sure that everything fits, and then I'll pull the firewall back off and finish welding it. You can see down here there is, it's hard to really get a good view, but there's room for the distributor cap now. You can kind of see the bell housing down there if you have the right angle. And so everything is got just enough clearance, no extra clearance, that's for sure. And then let's look at the inside. Here is the inside. The pedals will probably be something like that. That's about where the brake is going to sit. It's just hooked on the edge of the master, so that's about where it'll be. Clutch will be in that same vicinity, kind of up there. There should be plenty of room for my gas pedal down here, and as I get the seat sorted out, I should have good ergonomics to get to the pedal. Brake pedal it's going to be fully depressed, so that feels pretty good. Mast jacket will be above it, so there won't be interference with my feet. Considering how tight it is, I think it's going to be okay. I really won't have much extra. If you notice where my foot is, that's going to be about to the edge of the cowl, so there really won't be any more foot room that way. Should be okay though. The toe board at the top of the at the bottom of the firewall, but the upper portion will get cut, and the left side and the right side will get moved down. The middle over the bell housing, that's where I'll have to do a sheet metal cover to go over the transmission there and over pretty much a hump right there, because the rise in the floor for the transmission goes all the way back, and so there won't be, that part won't be flat, there'll be a hump there. So that is the progress to date. I feel pretty good. It's tight. Lots of stuff is really close, but sadly, that's the nature of the beast. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I am getting a little crazy here. The shop is just wrecked. I got to clean up before I can do anything moving forward. So I'm going to call it a wrap on this one. I'm Clay for Chop Shop Motors, and we'll see you on the next project.